Today's an exciting day because we're going to look at the new 16-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro and see how it does in video editing. So I had a 15-inch 2016 MacBook Pro previously, and it was really difficult to edit Sony A7S III footage and drone footage coming from my Mavic 2 Pro. It was just really choppy and unnecessarily hard. I can't even, I'm frustrated just talking about it. So the only way I could edit that footage on that MacBook was to convert everything to proxies, which is basically a heavily compressed version of the original footage. But with this new MacBook, I want to put it through its paces to see how it handles all of that footage, especially the slow-mo footage coming from the Sony A7S Mark III. We're also gonna look at the fan noise and the fan speeds. So without further ado, let's jump into Final Cut Pro and have a closer look. So here's some footage from a company I work with called Rizvani Motors. They make really cool sports utility cars, and this one's called the Tank. And I shot a lot of this in 120 frames per second on the Sony A7S Mark III. And in order for me to, edit this on my previous MacBook, again, I had to convert everything to proxies, which took hours. So right off the bat, using this MacBook Pro, and by the way, here's my specs. I'm using Mac OS Monterey, the M1 Max and 64 gigs of memory, just so you guys know. And just by scrubbing through the footage, I can immediately see a difference. I was not able to scrub through footage so smoothly on my previous MacBook Pro. It was extremely choppy. And just so you know that it's not proxies, have a look at this right here. It's on optimized original and better quality. So it's gonna be twice as challenging for this MacBook Pro to give me buttery smooth playback. So let's go ahead and drag and drop some of the footage here. Right away, I can already tell it's so smooth. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put this at 20% slow-mo. Okay, I'm gonna drag out the clip and let's have playback. Boom. This is insane. All right, let's check the fan speeds here. We are at 0. The fans are not even on. And regarding heat, slightly warm, but at this point with my previous MacBook Pro, this thing would be very, very hot to the touch. So right now, the fans aren't even on, so that's pretty shocking. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and stack this footage multiple times and see if that's gonna challenge this computer. Now let's watch playback. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Smooth, so smooth. Are the fans even kicking on? Let's see. Nope, the fans are still off. Okay, all right, let's add some color correction here. All right, so let's see how we do with color correction. I'm gonna go over to my color grader or color corrector here. Actually drop the exposure a little bit. Add some color wheels. Cool. And then playback is still smooth. This is absolutely insane, guys. And again, I'm gonna stack this footage. This is just unimaginable with a computer like this. Yeah, this is insane. Okay, it's stacked, color graded, and it's still playing back smooth. I don't hear the fans. Let me see if they kicked on. The fans are still at 0, guys. They're not on yet. This is insane. Okay, let's add in some effects and transitions and see what we can do here. All right, so I'm gonna go to my transitions. Let's see what we do with some of these blurs. All right, so you know what I'll do? I'm gonna add in some more clips of the Tank. All right, let's add this one in here. I'm gonna convert this down to 20% speed. This is also slow-mo. Drag that out. Okay. Let's add in some of the BCC transitions here from Boris Effects. Usually these plugins did not work very well on my 2016 MacBook Pro, so let's see how it works on this newer MacBook Pro. Very smooth. And mind you, I'm also using screen recorder and an external 32-inch monitor. I almost said bit, but 32-inch monitor external, 2.5K res MSI monitor, and screen recorder. So that adds, you know, more to how much processing this computer has to do. Again, I want to check the fans here. Still at 0. This is absolutely insane. It's so smooth. Okay. All right. So we looked at Sony A7S III footage, 120 frames per second. This was uneditable, especially in the original media format on my previous MacBook Pro. And actually on all the previous MacBook Pros, you were not able to actually look at Sony A7S III footage right off the memory card, but on this computer you can. Let's have a look at some Mavic 2 Pro footage. And this was just, I couldn't play this on my previous MacBook Pro. I had to, again, convert it to proxies and then edit that way. But again, this is raw footage right from the drone. Again, this is HDR, so I'm gonna have to play around with the exposure here. Let's watch playback. I mean, this is insane. All right, you know what? Let's add a little bit of a challenge here. I'm gonna add some object tracking. And if you haven't heard, the new version of Final Cut Pro, which is 10.6, has object tracking. I made an overview video of that. You can watch it right here. But just so you know, that feature is available. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add a Gaussian blur over myself. So I'm gonna go to Gaussian. I'm just gonna drag and drop it over myself. Right there. Okay, and now we're just gonna analyze the footage. All right, this is real time. I haven't sped up this part of the editing. Okay, this is real time. This is insane. Like, give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Let's look at the fan speeds here. The fans are still off. The fans are still off, guys. All right, how hot is the computer right now? I mean, it's getting warmer, but again, the fans are still off, and it's still tracking me really well. I mean, this is kind of insulting to my. I don't know. I'm just lost for words. This computer is insulting me right now by being so freaking fast. Okay. By the way, guys, if you're gonna invest in a MacBook Pro, max it out because you're gonna keep it for a long time. I did a video on, you know, how often you should upgrade your gear. You know, watch that video right here. But if you're gonna invest in something that costs a couple grand, you might as well go the extra mile and just invest a little bit more and have it last longer. Okay, I'm gonna keep this laptop for 5 years too. All right, so let's have a look at the footage. I mean, I'm completely blurred out. That's what I expected. I mean, no complaints, guys. We're getting a little bit warmer here, and now the fan's kicked on at over 1500 RPM, but can you hear it? No. I'm voice cracking. That's how, like, ecstatic I am. But yeah, the fans are only at 1500, and I haven't seen them go higher than 1500. 1600 on this fan, 1500 on this one. Let's have a listen at what they sound like at full blast. So let's go to this fan option here. Let's go to full blast. So that's what the fans sound like when they're at full blast. I doubt I will ever be hearing them. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to automatic. Now I'm doing a collaboration with Motion VFX using their 3D object tracker. So that's gonna make the computer work a little bit harder. It's gonna take more time. And stay tuned for that video on the new M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro because we're gonna put it through its paces with 3D rendering, and that's gonna be very interesting. So overall, guys, if you're worried about whether or not this computer will work with your drone footage or your Sony A7S III footage, it will. No need to pre-render or proxify your footage. This thing will work straight out of the camera no problem. Highly recommend it. And yeah, that's all I can say, guys. This was just gonna be a short test video. You saw how well it did. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and pick up your own MacBook Pro 16-inch M1 Max. I highly recommend it. All right, guys, I'll see you in another video. Peace.